Look at Revelation chapter 8, verse 10. It says the third angel sounded. So we already had the first 2 trumpets. This is the third trumpet. And there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. So this is not some star. Again, not my proof text, don't worry. This is not some star that is coming from some distant galaxy and destroying Earth. Because that's what a star would do. You believe in the globe Earth. Those stars are technically suns, and if they hit Earth, Earth is done. That's it. It is done. And it says, there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. There is no way a star on a globe Earth would ever hit only a third part of the rivers and waters.
Right.
It would destroy the whole Earth completely. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not going to make it, you can't call this a meteor. It said a star, and it said a great star from heaven. It didn't say a tiny little star, because there's big stars in heaven. Even if you look up, there's big stars and there's little stars. And there's 2 big lights, 2 great lights, called the sun and the moon. Yep. This is a great star, burning as it were a lamp. And not the lamp that we have. It's not like a light bulb. It's literally burning. Like if you think of a lamp back then that was ran on oil, when you move the lamp, you see fire coming back. It has that fire trail. So this is exactly what's happening. A star is falling from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. So if it's a great star and it's only hitting a third part of the rivers and mountains of waters, it's not bigger than the earth. It just can't be. Notice what it says in verse 11. The name of the star is called Wormwood. Why does the star have a name? Well, if you notice in Psalm chapter 147, you don't have to turn there. I'm going to read a verse from you. In Psalm 147, verse 4, it says, He telleth the number of the stars. He calleth them all by their names. So we know that the Lord has even numbered the hairs of our head. So He knows all the stars in His heaven. But He has also named them. And this star He has named Wormwood, and I believe the reason He has named it Wormwood is for a purpose. Because if you study wormwood throughout the Bible, it's actually describing a very specific thing. And we're going to go over that right now. So it says a third part of the waters became wormwood. I believe that the reason He called this star wormwood is because it has all the properties of wormwood that you would find on the earth. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. That's very important there. Notice, they were made bitter. Why were they made bitter? Because the waters became wormwood. So what is wormwood? What is wormwood? Well, turn to Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5. Wormwood is actually a literal thing. Wormwood is a literal thing. And I just want to show you a couple Bible verses that just show what wormwood actually is, and then I'll give you what it actually is, scientifically. Look at Proverbs chapter 5, verse 4. It says, her end is bitter as wormwood. So it's describing wormwood. Whatever this specific thing is called wormwood, it is very bitter. You notice that, again, in Revelation 8, verse 11, it said, many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So this wormwood has a quality that makes water bitter, right? You see that there? Bitter as wormwood. Wormwood itself is bitter, sharp as a two-edged sword. Turn to Jeremiah chapter 9. Jeremiah chapter 9. Wormwood doesn't have to be combined with water. It can be combined with anything. But look at Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 14. It says, but have walked after the imagination of their own heart and after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. So he's talking about a very evil people that are walking after the devil. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. So this wormwood is a punishment that God is giving the people that are worshiping Balaam. So what is actual wormwood? Well, if you actually look up what wormwood actually is, it is a literal thing in nature, and it's called, the definition of wormwood is a woody shrub with a bitter, notice that word bitter. Remember, bitter is everywhere. in the Bible. Every time it's talking about wormwood, it's saying that word bitter. A woody shrub with a bitter aromatic taste, used especially and formerly as an ingredient of vermouth and absinthe and in medicine. So, but that's just describing wormwood is. But the wormwood has many other different qualities. So if you have a tiny little bit of wormwood, it's not going to kill you. But mind you, a third of the part of the waters become wormwood, and many men died of the waters. Because it was talking about the rivers and fountains of waters. Isn't that where you drink from? Rivers and fountains of waters. It's not talking about the sea. It's talking about rivers and fountains of waters. And it says a third part of the waters became wormwood. So they're drinking large amounts of it. They're not realizing that that star just turned all these waters into its similar quality of wormwood. What does wormwood do? Well, if you've ever heard of wormwood, wormwood actually causes hallucinations. But not only that, it causes many other things. I'm just going to read to you some of the side effects of wormwood. And the amount that I was just talking about in vermouth and absinthe is very, very tiny, tiny bits of wormwood. And people take it because they want to feel cool and they want to hallucinate because they're drunk. But if you take too much wormwood, mind you, the waters are now filled with wormwood. So they're not just taking a little bit, they're drinking a lot of wormwood. These are the consequences. It says, when it is taken by mouth or used in the skin, when taken by mouth, this wormwood or the properties in it can cause seizures, muscle breakdown, kidney failure, restlessness, difficulty sleeping, nightmares, vomiting, stomach cramps, dizziness, tremors, changes in heart rate, urine retention, thirst, numbness of arms and legs, paralysis, and death. When used on the skin, wormwood can cause severe skin redness and burning. So the reason that men are dying of the waters is because they're drinking literal wormwood. And I believe that star, when it came and hit those waters, they're becoming bitter as wormwood because they have all the qualities of what wormwood is. Wormwood's been something that's been known for thousands of years. It's not some new thing. Wormwood has always been around, and it has been used in medicines if you use very tiny amounts, and alcoholic drinks and stuff like that because it causes hallucinations. But when you have a large amount of it, that's how it's killing many, many people. It's killing them because they're drinking of it. They're drinking of this water. Okay, now Revelation 8:12. Mind you, I believe that this is one of the most quintessential verses to the flat earth ever. Ever. Let's look at this and break it down. The fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten. So let's just go very slowly. When the fourth angel sounds his trumpet, a third part of the sun is smitten. So you have to think of this literally. If you're a glober or if you're a flat earther, 1/3 of the sun is smitten. And then notice what it says, a third part of the moon. So 1/3 part of the moon is smitten. And a third part of the stars, again, smitten. So as the third part of them was darkened. So it just explained to you what smitten meant. That when the sun and moon, I'm just going to use them for my example right now. When the sun and moon are smitten, 1/3 of the sun and moon is darkness. Got it? Notice what it says. And the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Why is that relevant? Let's go with the flat earth model first. Flat earth model, you have a circular disk. I'm just pretending this is the disk. The moon and the sun are circling around it, right? If 1/3 of the sun is dark, when the moon and the sun go around at 1/3 of the day, that will be dark. If 1/3 of the sun is dark, then when the sun gets to a certain point, that part won't shine, and 1/3 of the actual day on a flat earth will be dark, just as it says. The day shone not for a third part of it. One day, a third of it not light. Because mind you, we're getting our lightness from the sun and the moon, right? So a third part of the day is not light on a flat earth, because a third of the moon is darkened. If that happened to the sun on a globe earth, It takes 365 days to circle the sun. The Earth goes in one rotation every day, right? It would take 121.75 days of darkness.